Hi, my name is Ahmed Olanrewaju, and today I'll be introducing you to Hireflow Onboarding Agent, which is my submission for the Agent Intensive capstone project on Kaggle. So the program statement is that the process of onboarding in every company is fragmented as new employee faces different challenges from inconsistency of delivery of resources to delay in process and as well as poor initial experience while joining a company. The proposed solution, Hireflow is an intelligent multi-agent system designed to streamline and automate the new hire onboarding experience. It leverages the Kaggle Agent Development Kit and Model Context Protocol (MCP) to create a seamless, efficient, and interactive process for new employee. This is the high-level architecture of the Hireflow onboarding agents. On the left-hand side, we have the Hireflow agent, which is in charge of the LLM Orchestrator. It delegates specialized tasks to different tools: IT agent, HR agent, engineering agent, assessments, and also the two MCP server, the Hireflow MCP server and Notion MCP server. The root agent is in charge of interpreting and delegating tasks to the sub-agents as to or fetching information from the MCP server. Here I use two MCP server, the Hireflow MCP server, which is for employee and onboarding checklist data source, while the Notion MCP server is for company document resources. For the specialized agent, which is agent as tools, we have the IT agent specifically for IT onboarding related tasks. The HR agent is for HR onboarding related tasks. Engineering agent is department agent. So in this case, if the onboarding user is engineering staff, is going to delegate tasks to this engineering agent for any engineering onboarding related tasks. The last part is the assessment agent. As user flow explains how the user interacts with the Hireflow AI agents and what are the calls across different tools, LLM, and interaction system. The step one is this user start the journey by chatting with the interface, saying hello, for instance, and the request is forwarded to the AI agent, and AI agent forward this request to the LLM. LLM interprets this and respond with greeting. The first step is to ask the user to input their official email. So once the user provide their official email, it processes this email and then call the necessary tools in charge of employee lookup. So this it uses to identify which employee is interacting with the system, and it will use that to automatically get their onboarding checklist and return it back. Before returning it back to the user, the LLM interprets this and presents it in a manner that it's easy for the user to understand. So the user gets this feedback and see a list of their checklist, what they are supposed to do. So the user, in case they need more information about a specific task, they can ask the system to what is a document source, or maybe they need to fill a specific form. They can ask if the system can provide the specific form link to them. So the agent takes this in and call a specialized MCP2, which is the Notion MCP2, in charge of fetching information from the Notion data source specifically for the company. It returns the result and formats it and responds with the document link, so it's easy for user to go through. So after the user perform the task, the user can then confirm that they've performed the task. The agent process this information, and based on the LLM orchestrator being used, it then determines which sub-agent to call. In this case, it notifies the HR agent. So HR agent acknowledge that, okay, this task belongs to HR and the user have done it. So it's called the update checklist status. So this tool is in charge of updating, confirming and updating the checklist. then return the response back to the user, where the user can then proceed with the other interaction until they complete their onboarding workflow. Okay, so I'm going to be walking you through how the entire system works. So we run like a simple demo to test run the project. So there are different ways which this project can be run. So the first way is to run it with the Google ADK, which we have a make command. When you run the make playground, it will execute the Google ADK and spin up for you to test the project. The other option is to run the notebook. So there's a specialized notebook that is created here that you can also pass through and run the command as well to spin up the project demo. Then the last option is to run as a console app. If you want to test the AI agent from your terminal, you can also run as a console app by using the make command, make run command. This is just going to spin up the entry of the app, which is the main entry of the project. And yeah, it's going to spin up the main entry of the project to run the console app. So for this demo, I'm going to be using the Google ADK interface to show you how the project works. So we run the make playground command. So when this is up, then you select the agents. In this case, Hireflow Agent. So the first point of interaction is to say hello. So at this point, the agent is loading the tools. If you go back here, you can see that the agent tried to load the tools and respond to the user. So yeah, this is it here. So looking at this, it responds to the user. So the next thing is we can enter our email. So there are already sample email that the projects use. If you check the readme here, the readme already specifies sample email you can use for the demo. So in this case, I'm using John Doe. So John Doe, enter. So the system is going to do employee lookup to get the onboarding checklist of the user. So yeah, welcome John, your onboarding checklist has been generated. Let's start with your HR task. So the system intelligently fetch the onboarding checklist and decide to start with the HR task first. So let's say, for example, John does not know where to access the employee profile form. John can decide to ask, where can I find the employee profile form? So the system is going to take on this request and call the Notion MCP server to help the user get to where they can find the employee form. So the user can then click the form, fill it, and submit. Once they are done, they can come back to the systems. I have completed the employee profile form and submit. So what the system does is it automatically know which agent is in charge of this. So in this case, the HR agent is in charge of confirming the employee profile form task. So it's going to spin up that agent to confirm that task and then return a response back to the root agent, which in this case in charge of handling the response. So yeah, it was able to update that status and confirm to the user. So if you check as well the state of the system, now you can see the complete employee profile form is already done. So this is how the process continue without the employee needing to disturb the HR or IT manager. They can self onboard and complete their tasks. So and this is the end goal of the Hireflow agent. Once all the checklist is completed, then the user have successfully onboard on the system. The API post search here is the Notion MCP server, just to share where all of this information is coming from. I set up a Notion project specifically for this Kaggle, where I put every information about the employee profile form, the employee handbook, where employee can search and check information about the company policy. Then there's also a form to sign when they are done reading the handbook. So this is a demo for, let's assume the employee is in an engineering department. They can also access the engineering department document and go through it. So to use in a case, so I make Notion optional in the project in case you don't want to go through the stress of setting up Notion. But if you want to use Notion in the app, it's very easy. There's already a guide on how to set up Notion and retrieve your Notion key so that you can use it. So yeah, it's Notion. The use of Notion is conditional. If you have the Notion key set up, it will automatically use that. It will automatically add Notion MCP server to the project as part of the tools. Then it will use it. But in the case Notion is not set up, the application will still run successfully without using Notion. So there is a README here that guides how to set up Notion API key in case you are interested in using Notion. Step-by-step guides on setting up Notion. So to get started, you can go to github.com/amzjz/hireflow and you can clone the project on your system. So there is a section that explains how to set up the project so that you can easily test. The dependency is Python 3.11, and I also use the UV package manager to easily streamline the dependency installation process. So you copy the sample.env example into this, then you get your Google API key as well as Notion API key. Like I mentioned earlier, Notion is optional, but if you want the AI agent to access some specific internal document, you can set up your own Notion workspace and create some sample data there to use. So then the last part is, so yeah, this is the link to read the Notion setup guide. It's also part of the repository. Then I have the make command that allows you to automatically run the installation. So these are the 3 steps I've explained earlier on how to run the project. Either run it, use it as Google ADK web UI, run the make playground command, or you open the Hireflow demo notebook and run each cell there, or you run as a console app. Then this is the sample test data that can be used. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you find this interesting and wish me best of luck. Bye.